Benjamin is an IT engineer who just came to work in the city not long ago. In order to commute to work, he rented an apartment in an apartment building near his company. The apartment building has a good environment, a convenient location for traveling and shopping, and the key is the cheap rent. But strangely enough, Benjamin didn't see many residents. Even if he saw one or two, most of them were old people, and there were almost no people of the same age, which gave him a feeling of living in an old people's home. But Benjamin didn't care. Anyway, he usually had to work and didn't spend much time at home, so there wasn't much to be picky about. The apartment building was 18 floors high. Benjamin lived on the 17th floor, and he usually had to take the elevator to get home from work. Occasionally, he would meet a few old people riding the elevator, and sometimes they would take the initiative to talk to him about their families, which was not surprising. What Benjamin finds incredible is that when they part ways, they almost always remind him that he can't take the elevator at 12 o'clock midnight. This was unbelievable to him because when he moved here, the agent said that the elevator ran 24 hours a day. But when it came to the mouths of these old people, why did it sound so wrong? Every time he tried to follow up, the old people invariably kept their mouths shut. Benjamin is not a person who likes to get to the bottom of the matter, see people do not want to say. He naturally also no longer pursued the question, but secretly remembered the words of the old man. Unconsciously, Benjamin has been living here for 3 months. Everything is normal. There is nothing wrong. But just as he relaxed and ready to live here often, the horror of things happened. That day, the company suddenly had an urgent task. The leader arranged Benjamin overtime. Starting from after dinner, Benjamin has been busy knocking on the keyboard, not daring to relax at all. When he finished all the work, turned off the computer, a look at the wall clock has been close to 12 midnight. Benjamin yawned and walked out of the office. He hated to stay up late and work overtime, but the good thing is that the rented apartment is close to the company, so he can go home early to wash and sleep. After 5 or 6 minutes of wandering slowly, he finally returned to the apartment building. At this time, there was no one in the lobby of the first floor of the apartment. It was empty, the lights were dim, and it was very depressing, which made Benjamin feel very uncomfortable, and he always felt that there was a pair of eyes staring at him from all around, which made him feel cold behind his back. He moved his shoulders and walked quickly to the elevator and hurriedly pressed the elevator button. After a long time, the elevator door finally opened slowly and there was no one inside. At this point, Benjamin, out of fear, had long forgotten what the old people had warned him about. He naturally stepped into the elevator and pressed the button for the 17th floor. As the elevator slowly rose, Benjamin lit a cigarette and puffed on it. He knew not to smoke in the elevator, but he couldn't help himself, especially now that he was alone in the elevator and needed to stay awake. Since this was an old elevator, it ran very slowly, and it took almost half a minute before it went up 3 floors, and when it got to the 4th floor, the elevator suddenly stopped and a woman wearing sunglasses came in from outside. The woman looked to be in her 40s, with fine wrinkles visible on her forehead. She was wearing a black dress that didn't match her age, and on her feet she wore a pair of red, eye-piercing high-heeled shoes resembling a ghost of midnight. Benjamin had lived here for such a long time, and even though he wasn't familiar with the surrounding tenants, he basically mixed up the people who frequented the building, and he had never seen this woman before. But he didn't care too much about it, because a normal person wouldn't care about such a middle-aged woman dressed weirdly at night when she was alone. When the woman got on the elevator, she didn't press the floor button, which surprised Benjamin, but thinking that she might be going to the same floor as himself, he didn't think much of it. The woman stood silently in the corner of the elevator, both hands drooped, head down, and did not move. Benjamin also no longer looked at her, just self-concerned, head down to smoke. The elevator continued to rise slowly, and when it reached the 13th floor, an ear-splitting noise suddenly sounded above the elevator. Immediately afterward, the elevator began to shake violently, and Benjamin fell to the ground without standing still, dropping the cigarette in his mouth. He didn't know what was going on, but there was nothing he could do in this enclosed space but wait and see what happened. After about a minute, the elevator finally stopped, but the doors didn't open. Moreover, the lighting inside the elevator began to flash brightly and dimly. Obviously, the elevator malfunctioned, and he couldn't get out for the time being. Benjamin was very annoyed. Today his boss let him work overtime until so late, and he still didn't have any overtime pay. And now he encountered the elevator malfunction that made him fall, and the fire in his heart came up all of a sudden. What a piece of shit. Benjamin cursed and was about to get up from the ground when suddenly someone touched his back. Boy, I dropped my sunglasses. They're right next to your hand, and I can't bend over because of my injured back. Can you pick them up for me? A husky female voice came. Benjamin took a sideways glance, and sure enough, he found a sunglass. It was then that he remembered there was another weird woman in the elevator. Normally he would never have picked up on her like that, but now that both of them were stuck in the elevator at the same time, it was the right time to test the quality. Despite his reluctance, Benjamin picked up the sunglasses. However, when he climbed up and turned back around, ready to hand the sunglasses to the woman, the horrifying sight in front of him instantly made him lose his voice and scream. Only to see that the woman's eyes had no skin and flesh, white bones, and the eyes could not be seen in the sockets, only 2 points of green light. She laughed harshly and stuck out her mucus-stained tongue to lick her black and purple lips. In the flickering light, Benjamin could clearly see dense maggots slowly wriggling and burrowing in and out of her tattered skin. Look at me, lad, aren't I pretty? Oh. Benjamin let out a mournful scream, after which he blacked out with both eyes. When Benjamin woke up again, he found himself lying in the elevator entrance on the 17th floor. It was already dawn, and daylight filtered in through the windows by the corridor, shining warmly. The scene in the elevator last night should be a dream, right? That strange woman never appeared. He was safe and sound. This is the best proof. Benjamin finally slightly relieved. Self-compassion last night was just working late, too sleepy to sleep here. Those horrible scenes in the elevator were probably fantasies and didn't exist. Benjamin rubbed his eyes and was about to sit up when he noticed a foreign object clucking at him under his buttocks. He upsetly brought it to his eyes, and the moment he saw the object, the smile on his face immediately froze, and the fear that had just subsided instantly erupted from his heart like a flash flood. That thing is exactly as sunglasses, and last night he saw in the elevator exactly the same.